There is a tremendous problem facing the people of the world today, and it will grow increasingly worse as time passes. It can be best expressed in a small news clipping I carry with me. It says, "This technology we enjoy today is little else but a widespread suicidal pollution. It is a blight affecting not only the air we breathe and the water we drink, but the land we till and the outer space we hardly know." Oceanographer Dr. Jacques Piccard is quoted as saying he doubts man will survive the 21st century. I cannot read this small warning without one other quotation coming to mind, one that I did not understand for a long time, and that is, "In wilderness is the preservation of the world." Left to its own devices, the Lincoln Scapegoat Wilderness will contribute to the survival of another endangered species, one called man.
Those are the words that my dad delivered to Congress during his 1969 testimony to establish what is now the Scapegoat Wilderness. It was the first citizen-led initiative for the wilderness in the country. And today, Montana citizens, once again, are advocating to expand the Scapegoat Wilderness. You know, it's just the serenity of Lincoln and the Upper Blackfoot Valley that makes it so special. Growing up here, I would do all the things that youngsters got to do without boundaries or fences. And as I grow up and I'm beginning to understand the importance of what place is. And for me, the place is the Upper Blackfoot Valley. It's just a small little mountain town, 18 miles west of the Continental Divide.
15 years ago, when I first brought my family to the community of Lincoln, I was told of a great wild country to the north known as the Back Country. I longed to see that country, to know its wild beauty, to catch its fish, to hunt its game, and to climb its mountains.
My parents started the store, Garland's Town and Country, in 1956. It sold anything, everything, maybe a general store in the 1950s might have. My mom, Barbara, ran the store, and my dad, Cecil, worked for the Forest Service in the early years. My dad was gone a lot. He was in the backcountry, or he was out and about educating people on the value, or what he thought his value to the Scapegoat Wilderness was.
Lincoln is historically a natural resource extrication type community, or was for a long time. It was born in a gold rush back in the 1800s. It's also been a logging community. We have an abundance of timber, and it was good, easy timber to get to for a lot of years.
Back in the late 50s and early 60s, when the store opened and it was in its fledgling years, logging and post and pole cutting were the biggies. There were several logging yards and TV burners, and everybody was really busy, post and pole yards. And that really drove the economics of Lincoln. And then all of a sudden, large companies like Champion and Plum Creek come in. One of the Forest Service guys showed up and said, "Cecil, the dozers are at the trailhead. They're at Indian Meadows and they're going in." The Forest Service planned to cut roads into the Lincoln backcountry.
I would not sleep that night, for I was trying to convince myself that this was really so. That there really was wild country like this left, and that somehow I had found it. But all was not at peace in my heart, for I knew that someday, for some unknown reason, man would try to destroy this country, as man had altered and destroyed before. That night I made a vow that whatever the cost, for whatever the reason, I would do all that I could to keep this country as wild as I had found it.
There was an organization that started here in Lincoln, the Lincoln Backcountry Protective Association, that wanted to see the Lincoln Backcountry is what we called it then, move into wilderness status. There were many people advocating to protect the Scapegoat Wilderness, but my folks were targeted because they were easy targets. The general store was right on Main Street, and they, the locals, saw that they were threatened. And so as the Lincoln Protective Association was out there moving forward, there was a group that said, okay, we need our voices heard. And so they chose to boycott the store. And so as that word got out, then the advocates for the Lincoln Backcountry organized themselves. People from all over Montana came on buses, and it was a really big weekend for our store. Locally, it was tough, and I understand how tough that was because it was going to take jobs away from my friends' families. As I look back, I get it. I mean, I get it, and it's hard to think about maybe the stress that they were going through, those families were going through, but I think we made it through, and hopefully we're a better community for it.
Do away with our wilderness, and you will remove forever another element of diversification, so vital to our being a well-rounded community. Without our wilderness and wildlife, we are at the mercy of the ups and downs of both the lumbering and mining industries, and the accompanying labor strikes and disputes that have plagued both Butte and Anaconda.
50 years later, Montanans once again find themselves advocating to expand the Scapegoat Wilderness, as well as promoting new recreation access, forest health, protection from wildfires, and economic stability that the community of Lincoln can rely on.
For years, we've been the place where people come on the weekend to play. And we've been that for a long time. We still have a little bit of mining in the valley. We still have a little bit of logging, but those industries are kind of waning or going away.
We rely big time on these public lands for our tourism and recreation. If we don't have it, this is going to be a ghost town.
It's not just a wilderness bill. We've also taken our local economy into consideration in this proposal.
The difference between the advocacy for the Scapegoat Wilderness and the Lincoln Prosperity proposal now, of course, is including more people, a wider range of people.
What I wanted to get out of this was better conditions on our national forest for the people of Lincoln. For me, better meant more access for some of the motorized groups. The ability to help the Forest Service do some fuel mitigation projects in areas that were fire prone.
Just to where everybody can come here, everyone can enjoy it in their own, whatever way they want to do it. The wilderness is taken care of. The health of the woods is much better than it is now. We get rid of some of that fire danger. Better habitat for the animals because we rely on hunting. I just want to see it in some way, shape, or form like it is now, but business is doing better, the people doing better, and getting a better income out of living here.
I think we'd be remiss if we didn't work together as a whole, as a community and as Montana, to use our public lands thoughtfully.
This proposal will create certainty for the community of Lincoln. We like Lincoln the way it is, but the change that is inevitable, I want to see that be very community-driven.
One of the reasons why this proposal works is that it was very collaborative. There was a lot of different values at the table. No one person got everything they wanted, but everybody at the table, I feel, got something that made their life better because of this proposal.
The plan that we've come up with, everybody gets something. It's better than the status quo, and I think it's just hugely beneficial to every single person out there. one way or another. There's no one that can't look at this and say, this does nothing for me.
You know, the Lincoln proposal is huge because people are working together.
When this is all said and done, we're going to still be living here, and we're going to be living with the end product. And so we wanted a product that we could be proud of, but that our community could get behind and support.
It's really about protecting the values that Montanans love.
I hope that this community remains a community that is rooted in loving the area and taking care of it. We as locals have to put our best foot forward and our examples together as how we live with the natural beauty and the wild things.